liberty-loving people. All right, thank you for being here. It is a blessing to be here, is it not? It is a blessing to be here amongst so many patriots that are awake. It's also very nice that it's not raining. I'm pleased to present our first speaker. Am I talking loud enough? Yeah. Pleased to announce our first speaker here, Byron Dale, a monetary expert, a good friend of mine, and just a great man all around. Thank you. Can you all hear me? Okay, now we're all here to get rid of the Fed, right? Okay, now I'm chief among you, and I think nothing needs to be done worse than that. But you know what we really need to think about is what's really wrong with the Fed and what's going on. Because the Federal Reserve monetary system is the fuel that runs this entire nation. It's the engine that runs it all. But the problem is its fuel is interest-bearing debt. So every penny we have in this circulation in this country is interest-bearing debt created by the banking system. And that's the problem. Now there's some good things about the Federal Reserve because we have a uniform monetary system. Your money's good any place in the United States and probably any place in the world. It's easy to transfer it, and it's a very workable system. We don't want to get rid of that, but we want to get rid of it. We want a brand new engine, an engine that drives the economy with money that represents your production, not how much you owe at the bank. Today, all money is based on your production, but as a mortgage to the banking system, who creates all the money as a promise to pay you. And they simply put those numbers in your checking account when you sign a promissory note to pay them back. The problem of it is, they only loan you the principal, and that's all that's created. Then they demand the principal plus interest back, and now there's debt. The debt has grown, but the money supply has not. And you see this all the time, because how could we possibly get in debt in a nation that's been probably the most wealth-producing nation in the entire history of the world, and yet we ended up in just 250 years over $57 trillion in debt. Now you just ask how in the world that could happen. All wealth to be produced takes three things put together at one time. You have to have the knowledge, raw resources, and labor, and you put them together, and that's how this bullhorn, cameras, clothes, everything gets created. And it's our production that backs the money. In fact, if you go to the congressional record, and I can show it here, it's right here. I can't hold my paper and do this both, so. But it says our money will be worth in 33 when Roosevelt took away the gold, said, well, Federal Reserve notes will work and they'll be good dollar for dollar because they'll be based on a mortgage of all the homes and cars and everything else of the American people. And when they tell you that your money is backed by the credit of the United States, that's exactly what they mean. Their money that you borrow is backed by your property that they have a mortgage on. Messed up. So if China comes over here because we bought a lot of stuff over there because we're always trying to cut expenses because interest makes the cost of business go up, and forgive me if I said out, but I've got a bad back. And if the more you borrow, the more interest you have generally, and the more interest you have, the cost of business goes up. As the cost of business go up, you have to figure out somehow to cut your cost. If nobody will address the interest cost, then you have to do it by lowering cost in labor or somehow get cheaper raw materials to make the same thing look the same. Okay, by sending our money overseas to buy, well, we'll use the example right now of China's products, that means that they have the money, we have the goods, so if they actually came and wanted their money back, they could just use it to buy up all our products because after all, they have a mortgage on our property. And that's got to stop. And that's why we need to end the Fed. Not because it's not a good workable system as far as making transfers of payment, but because it's all based on interest-bearing debt based on your property that you worked hard for, and you get very little benefit, and they get the bulk of the benefit, and plus the power that comes from being able to loan everybody all the money. If I don't like you, I'll just pull back your loan. If I like you a lot, I'll give you a big one, and you can do a lot of business. Now, is that really the way you want your country to run? No! I don't think it is, and I think we need to do something about it. And I think we shouldn't be down here once a month. We should have somebody down here every day. We should get an organization together, and we should go on shifts, and we should have somebody parading up and down here every day. Especially in the summer, maybe not when it's 30 below. Come on, I'm a realistic man above all things. And you know, you hear so much about the problem is they print too much money. That's not the problem. The problem is they print too much debt. And debt and money is clearly not be the same thing. Debt is what you owe. Money is what you're supposed to make final payment with, so you never owe anybody again, right? Well, then how can your money actually be representation of debt? It's impossible. Money should represent your production. And that's what we work for with everything we've got, putting it all day long. And it's hard to get people to really listen, because I had a young guy tell me today, well, it's okay. If you borrow $100 and work for me and I get the 100 and you got the debt, I don't care. I got the 100 and no money and no debt. And he's right. But that's kind of like saying, well, I don't have any kids, but if I got to kill your kids so I can have kids, that's okay too, isn't it? I don't think anybody would agree with that, especially the guy that I want each kid from. And see, this is the thing we've got to understand. This system does not work because it's all based on interest-bearing debt that we produce and they get the benefit of. Why do you think 5% of the people own 95% of the wealth in the world? Didn't happen by accident. And with that, I'll let you go and I'll give you the next speaker, and I thank you so much for being such an attentive crowd.